Hi guys, and welcome to this tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to successfully install and configure a web server suitable for hosting various e-commerce solutions and content management systems such as WordPress, Joomla and Magento. This tutorial is going to be based on the Ubuntu server distribution, Linux distribution, and the first part is where I'm going to show you where to get a hold of the Ubuntu server distribution, and from there on I'm going to take you to the next part where I'm going to show you how to install it on your server, and the third part where I'm going to discuss and show you which packages you need to install on your operating system in order to make it suitable as a web server for WordPress, Joomla or Magento. So the first part is to locate and download the Ubuntu server. So we're going to head on over to Firefox and the Ubuntu homepage, ubuntu.com. So just open your browser and go to ubuntu.com. And as you can see in the top menu here, there's an alternative that says server. Click it. And on your far right here, it's a button that says download. Click it. In this page, you have the option to choose which distribution you would like to download. Ubuntu has something that is called LTS distributions. That stands for long-term support distributions. So if you're planning to use this server in a production environment, it's highly recommended to use the LTS distribution when you download and install your server. I am going to use the latest version, however, which today is 10.10, where the first figure in this 10.10 is version 10, and .10 stands for which month this was released. So in October 2010, version 10 was released. So it's quite a new operating system and a lot of new cool features in this latest version. You can also choose between 64 and 32-bit operating system. I'm going to run a 32-bit operating system today. If you'd like to run a 64, just download that. This tutorial is not based on either 32 or 64 bits. So choose whatever you like, download it, and make sure to burn your copy to a CD or DVD disc. Because it's an image file, an ISO file that you will be downloading from the ubuntu.com webpage. Burn it down to a disk and put it inside your server and reboot, and make sure that you boot up from your disk. And that's it for part one, actually. It's not rocket science. Just go on to ubuntu.com, find the right distribution, the right version, choose between 32 or 64-bit, download it, burn it to a CD or DVD disc, put it in your server, reboot, and boot up from your disk. So alright guys, this is the second part of this tutorial, and in this part I'm going to show you how to install Ubuntu server on your computer or on your server. This part of the installation that we're going to look at now is pretty boring actually. It starts off with a lot of settings where you have to tell the installation process which language you're using and which keyboard layout you're using. For this tutorial I'm going to use English and USA straight over in all the settings, but just choose the setting that is best for you and decide which language you want to use on your server and just go with it. Since Ubuntu server has no graphical interface whatsoever, everything is done with a text-based layout. So we're going to use just a keyboard to do all the settings during this installation process, and it's probably 4 or 5 different keys on your keyboard that you're going to use. It's Enter, Tab, and the arrows and space on your keyboard that is being used. And I will try to walk you through it as much as I can. But if I'm missing something, just try to do it with either Tab, Enter, or your arrow keys or space, and you will be fine. Alright, this is the first view that you will see when you have put your CD or DVD in the server and booted up on it. As I said before, we need to choose which language we want to do the installation process in. So I use English. And then we come to another menu where we have the ability to do different things. For instance, we can test the memory in the server, and we can also test the disk itself, if it's broken or not. But we've just burned this disk, we know it's okay, and we don't want to test the memory, we just want to install the Ubuntu server. So using the arrow keys on your keyboard, select Install Ubuntu Server and press Enter. And what is going to happen now is that I'm going to make a series of choices, a series of settings actually, regarding the language I want to use on the server, as I said before. And in the third step here, we have the option to automatically detect which keyboard layout we're using. And that's quite neat, so we'll use that. We use the arrow keys on the keyboard to go to and select yes and press enter. And it wants us to press a series of keys in order for the installation process to automatically detect which keyboard we're using. So we're just going to press these keys. Yeah. So now when I have detected and chosen the keyboard layout on my system, the installation process continues. And further on down the road here, we will be doing a series of settings according to the partitioning of the hard drive, and we will also name our server, which we're going to do right now actually. And we have to set a host name. By default, it suggests that the server should be named Ubuntu, but I don't want to name my server Ubuntu. I want to name it WebServer, so I'll go with WebServer. You can name it whatever you want, actually, as long as you're happy with it. When you have entered the host name, use Tab key on your keyboard to get down to the selections, the menu beneath it. So press Tab and you will highlight the continue button. You just press enter from there on. So the installation process has located me in Sweden, in Europe, and it says, do you want to use that time zone on your server? Yeah, that's fine, so just press enter. If you have another time zone, just select no and select it manually. Alright, now it's time to do the partitioning of the hard drive, and today I'm installing this Ubuntu server on a VMware virtual machine, so I have only allowed VMware 20 gigabytes on the hard drive, which is not much, but it's sufficient to do this tutorial. So there are actually 4 different options to partition your hard drive, or hard drives, depending on your hardware. 3 of them is guided and uses the entire disk, and some of them can encrypt your data and some of them won't do that. It's totally unnecessary in this case to encrypt data on a web server. It's more important to do that on, let's say, a laptop. If you use a laptop or if it's stolen, it's good if your data is encrypted. But on this web server, it's not that important. So we're not going to encrypt any information on this web server. We're going to use the 4th alternative, which is manual partitioning. So use your arrow keys, go down to manual and press enter. And once you've selected the manual partitioning, you will have to do the partitioning manually. So I have a couple of tips for you. I'm going to show you how to do a real simple setup with your partitioning, which is 1 gigabyte of boot, and 2 times your memory on your server. In my case, I have 512 megs of memory in my server in VMware. So I'm going to assign 2 times my memory which is 1 gigabyte to the swap file, and the rest of the hard drive I'm just going to assign to slash on my Linux distribution. So boot, swap, and the rest of the disk to slash. And this is how you do it. Use your arrows to go down to your hard drive. As you can see, I have a 21.5 SCSI disk in my VMware. Press enter. Select yes to create a new partition. You can see down here it says free space 21.5. Select it and press enter again. Select create a new partition. And now you have to tell the installation process how big this partition should be. I'm going with 1 gigabyte, and then hit the tab button on your keyboard and press enter. This is a logical drive. It should start at the beginning. And go down to mount point, press enter, and select boot. Alright, go down to done setting up the partition, and you can see that 999 megabytes has been mounted to boot, which is fine. As I said before, we want 1 gig to boot, 1 gig to swap file, and the rest to the rest of the system. So once again, go down to the free space, press enter, create a new partition. It should be 1 gigabyte, or depending how much memory you're running in your server. If you're running 2 gigabytes of memory, then select 4 gigabytes here. 2 times your work memory in your server. Tab to get down to continue, press enter. This is a logical drive, beginning. And this time, do not go down to mount point. Stay at the top where it says use as and press enter. Now go down to swap area in this list and press enter. Swap area really doesn't have any file system on it, and that's the reason why you can't mount it to something. You just use it as swap area. Once you've done that, go down to done setting up this partition. And as you can see, we have approximately 19.5 gigabytes left on the hard drive, which we're going to mount as slash, which is the rest of the Linux distribution, actually. So go down to free space, press enter, create a new partition, keep it at 19.5 or whatever, how much hard drive you have got left. Press continue. This is a primary partition, not a logical one. And mount point, make sure that it says slash here, and then go down to setting up this partition. Alright, now we've set up our 3 partitions. Go down the list to finish partitioning and write changes to disk. Press enter. And then you have to confirm these settings before it actually is going to start writing this down to your hard drive. So just select yes and press enter. What we've done now actually is that we have booted up our server on the CD or DVD disk, and from this disk we have run the installation program on our server. The installation program or installation setup service has asked us a lot of questions regarding to the language and the keyboard layout, and it also wanted us to give settings for the partitioning. Once that is done, which is now, from this disk it will create the partition down on the hard drive and then starting to copy the base files of the operating system down to the hard drive. And once that is done, we can complete the installation from the hard drive and thereon. And this is really basic installing operating system. All operating systems are doing this in the same way. It doesn't matter if it's a Linux distribution, a Windows distribution, or a Mac. It's done in the same way in all operating systems. You start off in a bootable media, CD, DVD disk, or USB drive, and then you do a lot of settings, then you copy down the settings and the base files to your hard drive, and then you complete your installation from the hard drive. Alright, the next thing to do in the installation process of Ubuntu Server is to create a user account to your server. And the first thing we gotta do is to provide our full name for the person who is administrating this server. So I'm just going to type in my full name, which is Martin Helsing, and press continue. What Ubuntu does is that it takes your first name and suggests it as your username, and that's fine for me. If you'd like a different username, just erase this and type in whatever you want. I'm gonna go with Martin. It's a good username for me. So continue, and then it wants us to create a password for your account and to verify your password. So to make sure that you don't write it wrong the first time and can't log on to the server. So I provided a password once and I confirm my password the second time and I press continue. I get a message on my screen here that says my password is weak, and I know that, but this is just a tutorial and it's sufficient to do this tutorial. Make sure that you have a strong password when you install your server. Make sure to combine big and small letters and alphanumeric and all that, numbers and all of that, so you get a really strong password. Anyway, I'm gonna go with my weak password and press yes. And the next option I have is to whether or not I want to encrypt my home folder or home directory. As I said earlier on in this tutorial, it's not necessary to encrypt anything on this web server. It's better to do that on a client, and especially on a laptop if it gets stolen. But this is not going to get stolen. This is going to be placed in a data center or with my hosting provider. So I'm not going to encrypt anything. I'll select no and press enter. From here on, I have the ability or the option to configure a HTTP proxy, which I'm not using, so I'm not going to do anything here. I'll just leave it blank and press continue. If you're using a proxy, enter your IP, username, password, and port for your proxy and press enter. Here in this final section of the installation process, a tool that is called apt is installed. apt is the software on the operating system that allows us to install, uninstall, and repair other packages, and we will get back to that later on in this tutorial. Anyways, before we are done here with installing Ubuntu, it wants to know whether or not it should do automatic updates or not. On a client, it's fine to do automatic updates, but on a web server, and especially if this is in a production environment, I wouldn't recommend automatic updates, because when you're asleep at home, the server might download an automatic update and install it, and the server crashes, and you're asleep and you can't do nothing about it. So my recommendation is no automatic updates. Do it manually yourself once a week, once a month, or something like that. So I'm going to select no automatic updates and press enter. And by now we have come pretty far into the installation process, and soon we will be able, right now actually, we will be able to install certain roles to our server as DNS server, web server, open SSH server, etc, etc. And since this is going to be a web server, we're going to take advantage of this and install the web server software, and it's called LAMP server. LAMP is short for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, which is exactly those things we're going to need on our web server. So you can see there's a list on my screen here. Use your arrow keys to go down to LAMP server, then press space to highlight it. Also highlight the Open SSH server, and then go down to continue by pressing your tab key and then enter. The Open SSH server allows us to remotely access our server via the protocol SSH, and by doing that we can configure our server even though we haven't got any screen or keyboard or mouse or anything. We don't even need to be where the server is. We can be anywhere in the world as long as we have an SSH protocol connection to the server. We can do everything by remote with the server. Since both WordPress, Joomla and Magento and pretty much all the content management systems out there requires a database in the background, we need to install the MySQL server so we can create and host databases on our web server. And since I marked the LAMP server, MySQL is included there, and now the installation process wants to know a password for the root account of this database server. So I'm just going to provide a password, press continue, and then I'll have to confirm the password once again, as usual, press continue again. And even though we've got my SQL server on our web server, it's really not a comfortable way of working with databases. So later on in this tutorial we're going to install something called phpMyAdmin, which basically is a web page where you easily can create and manage your databases in your MySQL server. So instead of doing it with text in terminal, you can do it graphically in your web browser, but we will get to that later on in this tutorial. Alright, we're just about done with installing the Ubuntu server on our computer. The last thing we have to do in the settings is to decide whether or not we like to use the grub loader to load our operating system when it boots up. If you're only using Ubuntu server on this web server, which you should be, then install grub. If this is some kind of dual boot and you have another operating system such as Windows or something, or BSD, you might not want to install grub because this might mess with your settings with the other operating system. But since this is a web server and this is designed to do something specific, you might not dual boot with another operating system. So it should be just Ubuntu on this web server, so you can install grub on your server. Select yes and press enter. And as you can see on the screen right now, the installation of Ubuntu server is complete, and in order to go any further than this, you need to reboot your computer and make sure to remove the installation media, it says, which is your CD or DVD ROM from the tray, and then press continue. And as you can see, the server is booting up for the first time. And there it's done. As you can see on the screen right now, it says WebServer login, and this is where you put in your username, which you decided on earlier in the installation process, and then you have to enter your password as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and press Martin and provide my password, press enter. Alright, now we're logged into our Ubuntu server, which is a web server, but we still have things to do, and we're going to install a lot of packages that wasn't provided during the installation, such as phpMyAdmin, FTP server, and so on. But first thing is first. Since this is a clean installation of an operating system, we need to update it so that all the security updates and everything comes down to our server. So we're going to do this with a command that looks like this: sudo apt get update. Sudo is a way of saying to the Ubuntu server that this command, this following command after sudo, is going to be run with root privileges. For a Windows user, a root user is equal to an administrator on a Windows system. So what I'm saying right now with the first word sudo is I am an administrator or a root user. You are going to execute the following command with full privileges on the system. apt get is the software we're going to use to find and download something from the internet to our server. And in this case we're going to download update, which is all the updates available for my server. So just type in sudo apt get update and press enter. And then you have to provide your password just to make sure that you really are the administrator or root user. Press enter, and as you can see it's downloading a whole lot of updates and it's already done. To get rid of all this, just type in clear and press enter. From now on, actually, we're not going to administrate this server from the server. Since we installed SSH Open Server on this, I'm going to show you how to remotely access your server and do all the settings from there. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get out of the server, and I'm going to show you a tool which is really useful when you're on a Windows operating system and want to administrate your Ubuntu server via SSH. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get out of the server. As you can see, I'm installing it in a VMware, so it's a virtual machine, and I'm going to get down to Firefox, and let's hit Google, and we're going to search for something called Putty. And if you Google Putty, you see this is the top hit on Putty. You just press it and you come to this page. From here on, if you're using a Windows system, you can see for Windows on Intel x86, just download putty.exe to your computer. You don't need to install Putty. Putty is just executable, so just download this exe to your computer and open it. And it looks like this. This is Putty. With this sweet little program, you can connect to a remote computer or remote server via SSH or Telnet or something like that. We're going to use SSH, so make sure that SSH is ticked in the selections up here. And then you just need to provide the IP address of the Ubuntu server that you have installed. So let's head on over to our Ubuntu server once again and find out which IP address it got. So in our Ubuntu server, just type ifconfig, press enter. And as you can see up here, our address is a classic class C address, which is 192.168.0.103. And just type in your address in Putty like this. Make sure SSH is ticked and click open down here. And the first time you're connecting to your server, you're going to get a pop-up that says Putty security alert. Don't worry, this is nothing weird. It's just a way of saying this server has a unique security key. Do you trust it, and do you want to store it in your system, in your Windows system? Press yes on this pop-up box, and you're ready to connect. As you can see here, log in as, I'll provide Martin, and I'll provide my password, and press enter. And now I'm logged into our Ubuntu server via SSH. So I'm in my Windows machine, I'm using the protocol SSH to connect to my Ubuntu server, and from here I can do anything. So when your server is configured, you can ship it off to your hosting provider or put it in your closet and just provide it with power and internet cable, and you can manage and configure your server from anywhere using SSH. Alright, this far in we have successfully installed Ubuntu server on our computer, and we have also made sure that we have a web server, a database server, PHP, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, open SSH server as well. So by now we should be able to browse into the server IP and make sure that the web server Apache is working correctly. If it is working correctly, we will get a web page that says it works. So let's have a look if it works. We'll pop up Firefox once again, and we head on over to http:// and just put in the IP address of your server, which we found out by using ifconfig. My server was on 192.168.0.103, and as you can see, when I browse to this address, I get it works. And this means that we've successfully installed a web server, and we have PHP activated and everything like that, and we have a database server. But in order for this to work properly with, let us say, WordPress, Joomla or Magento, you might want to install a couple of other tools on your system that will make life a little easier for you. For example, we're going to install a FTP server so that you easily can download and upload files to your web server. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We're pop into PuTTY, and we're going to install a FTP server software that is named VSTFTPD. So just install it by running the following command. Hit sudo to tell the operating system that you're a root user or administrator. Then type apt-get install. The last time we wrote update, this time we don't. We type install instead of update. And then we need to tell Ubuntu what we're trying to install. And we want to install VSFTPD. Press enter. Provide your password, and it's installed. Type clear, press enter, and by now we should be able to connect via FTP to our web server. So let's try that out. Let's open FileZilla down here. Up on host, we put in our IP address 168.0.103. Provide our username and our password, and hit this button here. And as you can see, I'm connected to my home folder on my server, and from here on I can do whatever I want. I can create new catalogs, and I can browse in my server and have a poke around. So we know that the FTP account works, so we just close down FileZilla. And now we're going to install a tool that is called phpMyAdmin. And as I said earlier on, phpMyAdmin is pretty much a web page that allows you to work with databases on your MySQL server. So it's installed in a similar way that we've just installed the FTP server. We just have to edit the package in the end to tell the Ubuntu server what we're trying to install on the system. So type in sudo apt-get install, and this time type phpMyAdmin and press enter. And then you have to confirm that you want to install this software on your computer or on your server. So press Y and press enter. And it takes a little while before it gets installed, and we should see a pop-up right now. It asks us which kind of web server do you got on your server, and we got two choices: Light PD or Apache 2, and we have installed Apache on our web server. Apache is the web server software. So make sure Apache 2 is highlighted, then press space on your keyboard to tick it, press tab to get down to OK, and press enter. And what this does is that it creates an alias for phpMyAdmin, so that you will be able to easily connect into phpMyAdmin from your browser. We'll have a look at this pretty soon. So it also asks you if you want to configure PHP with dbconfig common. You really want to do this, so press yes on that, and then provide an password for your MySQL server and hit enter, and there it is. It's installed and ready to go. We might want to restart the Apache web server before we try it out, so let's do this by typing in sudo etc init.d/apache2 restart and press enter. This command can be used to restart pretty much every service on your Ubuntu server. So if you, for example, want to restart your FTP server instead of Apache, just type in the same command, but instead of Apache2 restart, just hit vs ftpd restart and you will be restarting that one. It's not rocket science. So we have successfully restarted our web server and we have installed phpMyAdmin. Let's see if it works. So this one still works. Go up here to your address bar and type /phpMyAdmin and press enter. Yeah, and it works. As you can see, phpMyAdmin is installed and we need to log in. I'm just going to go ahead and choose English here instead. English. Provide your username, which in this case is root, and provide your password and hit go. And as you can see, you have a nice web page to work with your databases on. You can create new databases from here, and you can also edit existing databases from the left here by clicking on them and editing your tables, privileges, and so on and so on. More information about this is provided in other tutorials where I can show you how to install Magento on a dedicated server or a VPS, as this is. So the last thing we want to do, or actually we have two things to do before this tutorial has come to its end. And the first thing we want to do is to make sure that we have enabled something that is called mod rewrite on our server. Pretty much every content management system out there is providing you the option to something that is called CEO friendly links, which you're probably going to use in the future with your server. So we're just going to have a look at how to enable this function on your web server. This is done by going down to PuTTY once again to stay connected with your web server, and this time we're going to enable the mod rewrite command. The Apache web server has several modules available that you can enable and disable and install and configure, etc. And these modules have different usage, and mod rewrite is the module you need to be able to create CEO friendly links. So just to make sure that this module is enabled, we type in sudo a2 nmod space rewrite and press enter. And as you can see on the screen right now, it has enabled this module and it wants us to restart the Apache web server in order for this to get active. So let's restart the web server by typing sudo etc init.d apache2 restart. And now the web server is restarted and we know for sure that we have mod rewrites activated. So Joomla, WordPress, Magento, all of these e-commerce solutions and content management systems can provide us with CEO friendly links from their settings. So we only have one last thing to do before this tutorial has come to an end, and right now we have installed a web server that has the web server software Apache. We have the MySQL server that allows us to store and create databases on our server. We have phpMyAdmin, which is a web interface where we can work with the MySQL server. We also have an FTP server to easily upload and download files to our server. And we have also installed something that is called OpenSSH server, which allows me to use PuTTY here to work from my Windows machine and administrate my Linux distribution via the protocol SSH. So we're pretty much done. One last thing, I want you to install an antivirus software on this server. Even though it's a Linux distribution and there aren't that many viruses out there for Linux, it's always a good idea to have something on your system that will protect you. So I'm going to show you how to install an antivirus software called Clam Antivirus. So install it by typing in the following command in your terminal: sudo apt get install clamab and press enter. Press Y to confirm and enter. And as you can see, it's downloading the antivirus software to our server and installing it. It's a good idea to once in a while, every week, every month or something like that, go in, log into your server via SSH and run a scan with Clam Antivirus on your system, just to make sure that you haven't got any viruses on your system. So, as you can see on the screen, everything is installed. Clam Antivirus is on your system. Type clear and enter, and type exit and enter to get out of putty. And this is pretty much it. In this tutorial I've shown you how to successfully install the Ubuntu server on a computer or on a server, and I've also shown you how to install a web server, database server, FTP server, SSH server, PHPMyAdmin and antivirus system. I've also shown you how to activate the module mod rewrite in order for you to be able to run CEO friendly links. So this is pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed it, and keep a lookout in the future for even more tutorials on how to configure and install Magento, WordPress, Joomla and content management systems like that on your dedicated server or VPS machine. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.